Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Fanatic, and I'm back with another video. So it's been a while since I grabbed my camera and started recording, but it's draft time. First round of the draft was last Thursday, and the draft is really what I love. NFL, college football is what I live for. So I figured I might as well pick up the camera and do a video about one of the more controversial draft picks and kind of my thoughts on it. So with the sixth overall pick, the Giants picked Daniel Jones. This has caused a lot of controversy, from Giants fans, from analysts, from reporters, from everything. Basically, if you know anything about the NFL, you've basically been saying bad stuff about Daniel Jones. It's been all over the news to the point where the Giants GM had to defend himself and say that maybe he could play 3 years down the line, but they think he's a franchise player. So I'm trying to take a deep dive and see if Daniel Jones is really as bad of a pick as everybody thinks. So before we start off, I'm just going to say Daniel Jones was not a bad pick. It was a shocking pick. It was a weird pick. So you can't call it a bad pick because you haven't seen Daniel Jones play in the NFL, right? You haven't seen him play one snap in the NFL, so you can't call it a bad pick yet. You can just call it shocking or unreasonable, which is what I'm going to call it. So if I were at the Giants at the 6th overall selection, I would have picked up either Rashawn Gary or Dwayne Haskins. But, they decided to pick up Daniel Jones, which is interesting. It's not a bad pick because, again, you haven't seen him play down in the NFL. All I can really say is that they got their guy, and that's really all you can ask for, is that they wanted Daniel Jones, and they got him. So, you can't really criticize that, if that makes sense. But Daniel Jones, in his time in the NFL in his time in college football, was decent. I'm going to try to pull up his stats here. Yeah, but like I was saying, Daniel Jones was not great in college football. He didn't pop off the screen. He wasn't insane or anything like that. So I'm pulling up his stats right here. Okay. So Daniel Jones is 6'4", 215. That's good size. I'm trying to find his stats, though. Probably should have been more prepared for this once before I got on, but that's fine. I kind of want these be more of a casual style video. Okay. So his stats from his final season. 60.5% of his passes were completed, which is good. Well, no, it's not good. I misspoke. That's not very good. I would like my quarterbacks to be right at 65% completion percentage, and he's not there. He is averaging 59.9, almost 60%. So accuracy he struggles with. He had 2,674 yards, in his time in his last season at Duke. 22 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So when you just compare stats, Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins are miles ahead of Daniel Jones. And even Will Grier and Drew Lock are miles ahead of Daniel Jones in the stat department. Now, do I think stats tell the whole story? No. People like Will Grier, Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, you have to factor in so many things. Are they in an air raid offense? Are they in a pass-first offense? Are they in a run-first offense? How's the talent compare? Because all four of those quarterbacks that I just mentioned all were in better spots than Daniel Jones. So, let's really get down to the positives of Daniel Jones. One, he's a good game manager. He's a good leader. He led Duke to actually a decent season. He knows how to put his team in a position to win, which is a main thing for quarterbacks. It's one of the biggest positives. Now let's look at the negatives. Not very accurate. He likes to dump it off a lot. Has kind of a noodle for an arm, which when you're in New York, you can't really have. It's windy. So the floor on Daniel Jones is kind of Ryan Tannehill. That's what people have been saying. And the ceiling is Matt Ryan. But Matt Ryan gets to play, because I don't think there's a huge talent difference between Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't think so. Here's the main reason. Matt Ryan gets to play indoors. Ryan Tannehill has to play outdoors. That makes a difference whether you think so or not, because outdoors has wind, temperature, all these other factors, while as whenever you're in a dome, it's perfect setting, perfect for a quarterback. It's the dream situation for a quarterback. So that's kind of, I don't think there's a big difference between Ryan Tannehill and Matt Ryan. I think Daniel Jones will be on the level of Ryan Tannehill. That's just what I think. Which, is that worth a 6th overall pick? No. Is that worth a 3rd round pick? Yes. Is that worth a 2nd round pick? Possibly, depending on what you want as your quarterback. So, would I have done the Daniel Jones move? No. I would have either gone Dwayne Haskins or picked Rashawn Gary and tanked to get either Herbert, Fromm, or Tua next year, which I think is a way better draft class than this year. But I think it is unfair to say that this was the worst draft pick in 10 years, that he's a bust, that what are the Giants thinking? Because they got their guy. And at the end of the day, fans like us are not in the room making decisions. They don't factor in all the factors. We didn't meet with them. We weren't in person watching them at the combine. We didn't watch them as his pro day. We are not in deep enough to really make an assessment, a truly deep enough assessment, to call him a bust at this level. And also, most importantly, he has not played in the NFL yet. Every single player in this draft has the potential to be a Hall of Famer. That's the facts. If you don't like the pick, that's fair. I'm not a fan of it myself. But you can't all gang up on Daniel Jones and the Giants organization and the Manning family, because the Manning family recommended Daniel Jones to the Giants. You cannot do that, because that is not a fair assessment of Daniel Jones. Come back in a year. Come back in 2 years. Come back as his 2nd year as a starter. Then you can start saying he's a bust and he's a disappointment and all this stuff. Because let me take you back. Whenever the Chiefs traded for Patrick Mahomes, people thought that was a bad pick. Now, not as bad as this one, but on a certain level, people did not like the Patrick Mahomes pick. And it turns out Mahomes is incredible, probably the best talent performer in the NFL in the cornerback position. So for the Giants, it's a confusing pick. I don't really think it makes much sense, but it's not a bad pick. You cannot call it a bad pick until Daniel Jones starts. So I think Daniel Jones is going to sit for this year. Eli Manning is going to retire, then he's going to come in next year. Then we can really start making an assessment on Daniel Jones as an NFL quarterback, not as a college football quarterback, because there's a big, big difference. Okay, so it would have made more sense. Here's another reason it doesn't make sense. Right? Why would you get rid of Odell when Daniel Jones is mostly a dump-off quarterback right as you're about to draft him? That doesn't make sense to me, because you have Sterling Shepard, who's kind of the medium route. You have Golden Tate, who's more of the deep threat. Evan Ingram, who's more of the deep threat. And really the only one that you can really dump it off to is Saquon Barkley, which, when your running back is your main target, isn't great. It's rare whenever that works. Like, the Patriots is a rare exception whenever their running back being their main receiver works. But still, they have a quarterback in Tom Brady who can distribute it all throughout the entire field. So, my final thoughts on Daniel Jones, the grade that I gave it was a D+. Now, am I saying a D+ because it's a bad pick? No. I'm saying a D+ because I think they could have done something that fit them better and made more sense. Not gotten a better pick, because the best player in the draft could be a fullback in the 7th round. You do not know how good a player is. The only time I really think you can call it a bad pick is if you just pick the wrong position. And they picked the right position. They needed a quarterback. Did they pick the right quarterback? That's not for me to figure out. That is for Daniel Jones to show the Giants and to show all of us if the Giants made the right decision. But all I can say is if I am a Giants GM, you better have made this pick right, or you are going to be fired, and everybody in that organization is going to be without a job. Because if Daniel Jones turns out to be a bust, everybody's getting fired in there, and that's just the way it is. And, it's a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones, but I think he can handle it. That's one of the things that I like about Daniel Jones. I think he's very mature. But, it's going to be interesting to see his development and see how the fans react over his career. So, do I think Daniel Jones is as bad of a pick as everybody thinks? No. Do I think it is a confusing pick, just like everybody thinks? Yes. So that's kind of my analysis on Daniel Jones. It wasn't really do I think it's a good pick or do I think it's a bad pick? I'm going to get more into that whenever I do guys like Kyler and Haskins. But this one, I just kind of wanted to stay neutral and kind of play devil's advocate, if you will, for Daniel Jones. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Have a good day. Peace.